Lovely. Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome back to another awesome episode of Gothically Yours, Professor M. I'm Professor M. In this very special lecture today, we're going to be talking about good advice for baby bats and elder Goths alike. Join us. Now, before I begin my very special lecture, I want to say a very heartfelt thank you to each and every one of my Goth brothers and sisters who write me comments. Each and every week, I read all of them. There's a 99.99% chance I will read it and write you back. Some of the comments have moved my heart very sincerely, and I love all the material and things you share with me. I want to thank each and every one of you from my heart. Keep it coming and keep putting the comments down below. Today's very special lecture is all about good advice. I'm going to start off with good advice for baby bats. And of course, I have a wonderful paper right here. I've created a lecture which will help individuals who are entering into the Goth subculture and want to know about good tips, good advice, and good vibes. What is ahead? Well, here are some things that I wrote down which I think are absolutely essential for you to know. For my baby bats out there who leave me comments, I read them, and this was actually spurred on by one comment by an individual who left me something. And I wanted to say, I'm going to read this off to you. Being a Goth does not make you a bad person. Let's get this right off the table. Being a Goth does not make you a bad person. This is for the baby bats, okay? It does not make you a bad person. It does not make you a drug user. It does not make you a junkie. It does not mean you belong to a cult, or you can be tagged as a Satanist. None of the above. Do not feel that anything has been labeled or put on you that shouldn't be. And just because you are in the Goth scene does not make you depressed. These are all myths that just need to be dispelled. So my advice to the baby bats out there is know who you are. Know thyself. This is vital. Okay, so let's go on to my next point of truth for baby bats. I wrote down over here, the truth is, as you enter into the Goth subculture, there will be times that people will tell you the worst comments ever. The truth is, you are going to receive bad comments. There's no way around it. So you've got to think about that logically or interlogically, okay? And pain is inevitable, but misery is a choice, okay? So if you wanted to become a Goth and you wanted to go into the Goth world, you have inevitability and options, okay? So how you steer your boat, getting from shore to shore, is up to you. The comments that you receive can either hurt you and be detrimental, or you can just go like this, shake it off. Very good advice. Depending on how you see a thing, the ship is free or either sinking. Now, I wanted to also share with the baby bats out there, in this era of the 2020s, do not cave into conformity. There has been a virtuoso of new Goth, and this is coming from my heart. I'm from the generation from the 1980s, so I'm a Gen Xer, so I'm in my 50s. But you have this new mechanized world where it's like, please do not become an Amazon Goth. That is not what, the basis of Goth is not that. It is about DIY, okay? Do it yourself. Or as I mentioned before, DIYG, do-it-yourself goth. Create something, design something, learn to sew, produce something that is completely original. I know it's difficult. Thrift stores are a wonderful wonderland once you discover and, go through them. You find all kinds of treasures in there. I just don't want anyone to become like a cookie cutter goth. Okay, don't become like that. The road of being goth and in the world of Gotham is individuality. A complete separate world of the individual spirit. Finding your true self and finding the road that you belong on. Think about that. Food for thought. Tea. There's always time for tea. Next on my list over here, learn practicing putting on your eyeliner, your eyeshadow, and your lipstick. Take some time out as a baby bat to learn how to apply, learn how to, develop your own style. One of the great goth sisters that we have here on YouTube, her name is Black Friday. I have always been so absorbed in the way that she puts on her makeup, because she does this amazing thing where it's up and over her eyes and there's like a little space down here and it kind of branches up in an Egyptian style. She has spent years and years and years developing the way that and it looks so perfect, So take some time out to practice putting on. I'm not just talking to the girls out there, I'm talking to the guys as well. Take time to practice putting on the essentials at home so you become a professional, and it goes on so much better. Practice makes perfect. Let's move on. Next on my list over here, read and explore everything goth. Go out and read Gothic books. Go and watch Gothic movies. Go and find all the goth and dark literature. Completely saturate yourself into a wonderful oasis of things out there that you can discover. So I wrote over here, Gothic culture, including movies and literature. For myself, and over the last 40 years, I have watched multiple movies, to see the goth things. You even maybe want to go out and find Gothic places to explore. When I was in England, the one thing I should have did, but I didn't do, was I should have found a lot of the Gothic writers' graves, and I should have went to Highland Park Cemetery, but I didn't. I had run out of time. However, I did visit a lot of other graves while I was there. England is an amazing place if you want to see some beautiful cemeteries. But saturate yourself in Goth literature, Goth culture materials, and Goth books. Completely find the Goth subculture within yourself and find things that really, really interest you. Okay, moving right along. Another important aspect for baby bats out there: respect your parents. Now I know, I know this is important for me to share, but there's going to be some days when mom or dad, or even maybe just one parent, will say, I don't particularly like what you're wearing, or you're not going out dressed like that. Respect your parents. Do as they say, but go at it a little bit more compromisingly. Ask and sit down with mom and dad and find out how far up to the line you can go, but not cross over it. So to a point where it's okay to wear but not When you get out on your own, you can do whatever you want because you're not under mom and dad's roof of their house. I know, I experienced this myself. Not everything that I wore, particularly my parents would say, I don't think you should be wearing that. However, as I got older, I did what I wanted, when I wanted, if I wanted. My thing is to sit down with mom and dad and say, is this okay? Or is that okay? Is this too excessive or that too excessive? Come to a medium ground. See if they mind you with makeup on. Find out, okay? Develop a relationship with your parents. And my most important advice about this is get to know your mom and dad. And I'm speaking from deep experience here. They are your greatest link to your past. Get to know your siblings. Time is of essence. Life is short. Get to know your family, okay? That's important, what I wanted to share. When you reach the I want to get away from my parents stage in your life, stop for a moment. I've been there myself too. When I was in 11th grade, and that was 1989, I desperately wanted to just quit school, join the workaday world, and get out. But I learned a very valuable lesson. That was not the right thing to do. The right thing to do was to stay in school, finish it out, no matter how hard and how much I didn't like school. We've all been there. I'll talk to the elder Goths in a little bit about that. But there's times when you want to just be yourself, be your true, honest, original self, and have experienced bad problems in school. Bullying, being made fun of, being looked at funny because of the way that you dress or act or perform. You are who you are. You need not apologize and need not explain anything to anybody. And my advice to you is that, remember, once you get through the whole senior thing of high school, you'll never see these people ever again. It's really, once you graduate, it's over, unless you're connected on Facebook, which is kind of a older person thing I've been getting. Instagram is a young person thing, so if you're connected on Instagram, well, there you go. It's all up to you, okay? But yeah, do take it with a grain of salt, okay? And my last thing on my list for good advice for baby bats is understand the Goth culture and completely learn about the music and its background. That's why we're here. I hope those were some essential things, and I hope one or two of them really hit home. What do you think, Cedric? Am I doing well? Thanks, brother. Should I move on? Okay. I'm going to move into good advice for my elder brothers and sisters. Let's go. I know. We're going back into school next week. Oh, yes. I have the university starts up again next week, so guess what I'll be doing? Yes. Okay, moving right along. This is for my elder brothers and sisters out there, those in their 40s and their 50s, the MTV generation Goths. Now, I've got something very important to share with you. If you have fallen in or fallen down the rabbit's hole and you stayed in the Gothic world for 40 years, congratulations. Congratulations. Society didn't hit you in the back of the head and say, oh, you need to get out of that. You're too old for that. You can't dress like that anymore. You have a very, very strong heart if you stayed into the culture. That's excellent too. But I'm also speaking for my Goth brothers and sisters who are returning back into the Goth scene. Welcome, welcome back. And as I mentioned in one of my videos, putting on the face is like coming home. You know where you belong, and I want to have you if you are now returning to the Goth scene or has been in the Goth scene, to reassure people around you, including your family, that there's nothing wrong with you and that you're A-okay. Reassurance is something that they're always looking for. Why are you dressing like that? I'm just fine. Do you remember when you were in high school or college and you had some hard times? Let's talk about high school first. If you were a part of the MTV generation like moi, and I stayed up till 3 a.m. in the morning sometimes watching a program called 120 Minutes to watch alternative music late at night, knowing that I had to get up at 7 a.m. in the morning to go to school. But I was a part of a craving to be a part of that world and not the school world that I was involved with. But what happened was, in my school system that I was involved with, I found others that were just like me, and we culminated together. Some of them were alternative, some of them were some of them were into metal, some of them were, as long as you all wore black, you kind of just magnetically got together this artsy group. Now, depending how you fell into the world of goth, whether it was through goth music, or to the left door over here, which is heavy metal, or to the right door here, industrial music, however or whatever door, or maybe there was an alternative door that I'm not mentioning here, but however you fell into the goth scene, think about that for a moment, how you became you, how you discovered you. My advice to some of the members out there was, remember what high school was like. Remember how we had to deal with certain people and certain comments and certain things that the baby bats are going through now. Think about that. You have a sense of freedom now that you've never experienced before. Utilize it. Know your liberties. Dress the way you want to dress. You're completely free to. High school is gone. Oh, speaking of which, I've got to get this out of my system. For my elder brothers and sisters, dress age appropriate. We look so much better. Now, we can't fit into all the stuff that we did when we were in our 20s. However, as we grow older, we have more space for maturity, so to speak. We can do things that we couldn't do in our 20s. What a blessing that is. Age matters. Right, Cedric? He's a lot older than me. Immerse yourself and re-immerse yourself in the culture. I want you to slip back into watching movies that you loved watching and watch them again and again. If you are a goth parent and you're growing up with some baby bats in your house, watch them together. Raise them up together. Watch those flicks together. And as I do with my daughter, we are constantly talking about new elements of goth. Right now, the latest subject matter on the table is cyber goth. And we were out the other night roaming the city, and guess what we saw? We saw a young man with like this pink reddish hair, dressed in black, and he had on the coolest boots with leather straps and stuff. And the first thing my daughter went was, she goes, "Daddy!" I was like, yeah, that's cool, huh? Cyber goth. Grow in knowledge together. Share what you know. Immerse yourself back in the culture and enjoy it. I want to challenge all of my elder goth brothers and sisters this year for good advice. Learn something new. This year, go out and learn something new about the goth culture you never learned before. And since we're in the third wave of music, I love The Cure. I love Susie Sue and the Banshees. I love all of the original bands that we grew up in, the Bauhauses and Love and Rockets and all that great stuff. Go into the third wave. discover the pulse of the new generation. I'm seeing things and wonderful new bands appearing now, and I'm really getting into the music. Explore something you've never explored before this year. That is my challenge to you, Elder Goth brother and sister. And also, and I'm not just speaking to the Elder Goths out there, to the younger baby bats too, I'm pulling this back in. Learn the 46 branches of the Goth family tree. It is a massive, complex system of different types of Goths. And I'm going to be creating a brand new video to explain all that I know about my knowledge of the 46 branches, again, in my special style coming up. So stay tuned on that. And it is your duty, my Elder Goth brothers and sisters, this is good advice, to share your knowledge of the Goth world with the younger ones. To sustain this subculture, we need to add education back into the youth. Without knowing the past, they cannot go into the future. You do not know your future unless you know your past. And that is a direct course that we're on. So Elder Goth brothers and sisters, your job is to educate, to mentor, to go out and share your past experiences from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, whatever genre you're in with now the younger generations of here, the 2020s. They are hungry and thirsty to know all about the 40 years of Goth subculture. It's your duty to go out and share your knowledge, share stories, share memories. And lastly, some good advice. This year, if you have never been to a Goth club or a Goth concert, for that matter of fact, I ask you to go out and experience it. Having a bunch of CDs and records and tapes from the dinosaur era around your house and listening to Goth music is awesome. However, this is the USB generation and the Netflix get it now deal. Go out and experience something like a Goth club, no matter how far away it is. Go plan it, go to a concert, go experience some live music, do awesome things. Is this all on my list here? Yeah, baby. Well, with that being said, I hope this has been some good advice for all of the baby bats and all my Elder Goth brothers and sisters out there who are seeking some knowledge onto what to do this year and the years to following in. I hope always that my lectures are beneficial and I speak to your hearts. Well, with that being said, Cedric, I think that we've wrapped up another wonderful lecture. Gothically yours, Professor M.